Welcome back to another class on the treasures of Mishnayot. We are continuing in Masay Berachot, Perek Bet, Mishnah Gimel. This will be a new Mishnah, a very important Mishnah, on how to articulate when it comes to saying Shema. When are you going to fulfill your obligation, and when you are not going to fulfill your obligation in Kriyat Shema. Understand before we do continue, like we learned previously, Kriyat Shema is one of the mitzvot that are from the Torah. So it is very important that when we say Shema, we have to know how to say it. I'm going to begin with the Kahati in the Bi'ur Mishnah Gimel, and then once we do the Kahati, Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll just do the Mishnah on top. The Bi'ur Mishnah Gimel, the Kahati explains, HaKoreh et Shema v'lo hishmiya le'ozno. One who recited the Kriyat Shema and he did not make the words audible to his ears. Shekara b'lachash, he read it silently. V'lo shema ba'atzmo ma shehotzi mipiv. But he himself did not hear what the words that came out of his mouth. The Tana Kama says, Yatsa yedei chovato, you fulfill your obligation for reciting Kriyat Shema. Comes Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Lo yatsa yedei chovat Kriyat Shema. You don't fulfill the obligation of reciting Shema for that day. Shenima, like the pasuk says, Shema. Because we know in the first pasuk in Shema, it says, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So the first word in the first verse is Shema. How do we understand Shema? So comes Rabbi Yossi and he says, when it says Shema, it means to hear. Meaning, Hishmiya le'oznecha ma she'ata motzi mipicha. Make it audible, the words to your ears, what you are taking out from your mouth. This he brings down and he sources that this is a Gemara. Beram, however, Tana Kama Doresh, however, the Tana Kama, the one that said you are Yotzer, how's he going to go ahead and explain the word Shema? If Shema means to hear yourself, so how can the Tana Kama say you fulfilled your obligation in reciting the Shema? So the Tana Kama is going to tell you, do you know how I learned the word Shema? He says Shema means Bechol Lashon She'ata Shomeya, in any language that you are able to hear. Koloimer, meaning to say, Shemutar la'adam likro Shema Bechol Safa Shehu mivin ba. A person is allowed to go ahead and recite the Shema in any language that he understands. And this is the opinion of the Tana Kama. So when Rabbi Yossi says Shema means you have to hear, Tana Kama explains the word Shema means, no, you have to be able to hear it in your own language, meaning you can say it whichever way you want. That's why comes the Tana Kama and he tells you, if you didn't hear yourself, you fulfilled your obligation. Continues the Kahati and he says, Rabbi Yossi Stam, who Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta. Whenever you see Rabbi Yossi anonymous without saying the son of, you should know that this is Rabbi Yossi, the son of Chalafta. Ha'halacha ketana kama. You should know when there is a machloket in our Mishnah over here between the Tana Kama and Rabbi Yossi, that if a person did not make the words of Shema audible to his ears, did he fulfill the obligation or not? Ha'halacha ketana kama. The halacha is going to be like the Tana Kama. We're going to go with his ruling. A person fulfills his obligation. V'davka b'di'evid yatsa. But that's specifically if it already happened. Aval lechatchila, but initially, tzarich sheyashmiya le'ozno. You need to go ahead and you have to make the words audible to your ears. Comes out that even though the halach is like the Tana Kama, that's if you really didn't hear yourself. It happened. You went to a restaurant, to a wedding, bar mitzvah, brit milah, doesn't matter. You decided to daven Arevit in a place where the music is loud. You can't hear yourself. So you said Shema without being able to hear yourself. When it says where you can't hear yourself, doesn't mean only silently. It means you can hear yourself also in any other form or way. So therefore, According to the Tanakama, you fulfilled your obligation. But preferably, lechatchila, when you are saying Shema, we want you to be able to hear yourself. So how can you hear yourself when you are found in a restaurant? Take your finger, close one ear, automatically you'll be able to hear yourself even though the music is blasting loud. Continues the Mishnah and it says, Kara Shema, if a person recited the Shema, V'lo digdek bo'ot yotecha. But he was not particular with the words. Not the words, with the letters, otiyot. What does this mean? Levate otan kira'oi, to pronounce them properly. Shelo hifrid ben shte otiyot shavot. He did not separate between two letters which are identical. Kigon, for example, al levavecha, as esev besodech vechedome. For example, he says, if you take the word al levavecha, the last letter in the word al is lamid. The first letter in the word levavecha is lamid. So since they're identical letters, we want you to separate them. We want you to say al levavecha, not alfavcha, not swallowing, making one lamed for two words. Same thing with esiv besadecha. The last letter of esiv is vet. The first letter of besadecha is bet. They're identical. It's vet and bet. They're identical. You could say esiv besadecha, or you could say esbecha. You could swallow the bet together. So that's what he wants to tell you here. You have to be particular in the otiyot, in pronouncing each letter, Rabotai, properly, to be able to separate the identical letters which are next to each other. V'nimtza mivta'an ke'ot achat. If you're not going to do that, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to say the words which have the same letters next to each other, comes that you're pronouncing them like one letter. So what is going to be the halakha? If a person went ahead and he was not particular in the otiyot, meaning he did not separate them, he made them like one. What's going to be the halakha? First of all, let's see the opinions. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, Yatsa yudei chavoto. You fulfill your obligation. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo yatsa yudei chavoto. You don't fulfill your obligation. Ha-halakha ki Rabbi Yossi. However, the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. A person who said Kriya Shema and he did not separate the words from the word al from levavecha or esev from besadecha and other similar words to it, we are going to tell you you have fulfilled your obligation in reciting Shema for that day. However, he continues and he says over here, Beram, however, lechatchila tzarich ledagdeg beotyotecha. However, lechatchila, initially, we want you to be particular with the letters, v'lehizaher, and to be careful. Shelo lahavliya otan achat bechavet. You shouldn't swallow them, the words one with the other. Beotiyot shavot odomot, with similar or identical letters. That is lechatchila. We want you to be careful not to go ahead and swallow two letters that are identical next to each other. V'chen, and so too he continues. Yesh levatei kira'oi. You should go ahead and pronounce properly et ha'ot hadigusha ve'et ha'ot harafa et ha'shavena ve'et ha'shavenach v'kiyotze bazeh. Now, Rabotai, let's just do a little bit hands-on. 1 second. Let me just get this for you guys. We have over here what is considered to me an ot digusha and ot rafa. Digusha literally means, Rabotai, it has a dagash. You see this bet, right? You see the bet? You have a dot in the middle. That's called the letter which is dagush. Ot rafa means a letter which is not dagush, which does not have a dot inside the letter. What is the difference in the pronunciation? Pay close attention. If I'm going to read this with a dagesh, with a dot, versus this without a dot, look how it's going to sound. Levavecha versus, lebabecha, because it's a bet. Lebabecha versus levavecha. You see the difference, Rabotai? Lebabecha, levavecha. So you have to pay attention to the das that are inside the letters so you could emphasize them. Now, what about Shevana and Shevanach? Very important, Rabotai, very important. In certain, or probably most Siddurim today have it. Actually, majority of the Siddurim probably they have this today, what I'm about to show you. They actually show that it's bolded. The das, the two das that are bolded, like over here. I'm going to show you like this, Rabotai. We have over here Shevana. Sheva literally means is the two das, is the vowels. Na, it means it's movable. We have, where is it? Shevanach. You have a Shevanach. What does it mean? Sheva is the vowel, but Nach, it's resting. So you have over here Shevanach is mobile, Shevanach is resting. Comes over here like this, Rabotai. Shevanach is a short vowel sound, and you have to pronounce it like this. You see what I have over here? Watch how I read the word. Devar. I'm emphasizing the dalet, the shevanach. Whereas shevanach, it's a shevanach means it's silent, no vowel sound. There's not. So basically, you're gonna give the vowel. You're gonna just say the word the way it sounds. For example, if I take this word over here, yil kad, meaning, pay close attention to what I just did. I just took the lamed and I went. It goes with the yud. I'm ignoring the two dots on the bottom. Yil kad, because if you take the word lamed, how do you make the sound lamed? La. Good. So you have over here yil kad. So, but you have to understand about that. What happens if I would make this a shevana? Make it a shevana. How would it change? This is shevana. Now I have to emphasize on the vowel. So how would I read it? Yilekad. See the difference, Rabotai? One more time. Yilkad is shevanach. Yilekad is shevana. Okay, Rabotai? So this, you have to be careful. Also, we have over here melech. If you see in the end, in the chav sufit, you have two dots small. Melech, you're not sounding off. You're not saying melech. You're not sounding off the last words. So that's what the Qadi is telling us, that whenever it comes to reading the Shema, you got to be particular with every single letter, word, and vowel. Continues the Mishnah. Hakoreh lemafreya. If a person went ahead and he recited the Kriya Shema retroactively, backwards. How? Shigdim et pasuk ha-me'uchar. You went and you took the later pasuk, the later verse, and you said it first. Kigon, for example. Shekarati chilet pasuk. First you went ahead and you said the pasuk. Uchtavtam al mizuzot betechu v'sharecha. Ve'achar ka kara et pasuk shelafanav. And then you went and you read the pasuk which is before that, which is Ukshatam leot al yedecha v'ayu letotafot bein enecha v'kitzeh bazeh. And similarly to that. So like this. What does it mean if a person recited Kriya Shema lemafreya, retroactively, going backwards? We know Shema is Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu v'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha b'chol avavim v'chol miyodecha v'ayu advarim, etc. What happens if a person begins to recite Kriya Shema like this? Uchtavtam al mizuzot betechu v'sharecha ukshatam et al yedecha v'ayu letotafot v'shinat levarecha dibarti b'meshevtecha b'betecha lo tchavaderu shavacham kumecha ha'ele, no, והיו הדברים האלה אשר הולכים מצווך היום על לבביך ואהבת את אשר אלוקיך בכל לבביך ובכל נפשך ובכל מידיך ברוך שם כבוד מלכות ולמועד שמע ישראל שם אלוקינו שם אחד. Going backwards, Rabotai, that's a humongous problem. The Mishnah says one who recited Kriya Shema going down, up, like the way I just showed you, the Mishnah says Lo yatsa yedei chovat Kriya Shema. You did not fulfill your obligation in reciting the Kriyat Shema. Shema, because the pasuk says, "V'hayu hadivarim ha'ela," and that these words should be v'dash v'hayu, and they expound on the words V'hayu, B'haviyatam yihu. In their essence they shall be. Meaning, Koloimar, Shikru'u kifi sidram b'Torah. You have to recite them the way it is arranged in the Torah. In the Torah, it's not arranged backwards. It's arranged going forwards. Meaning, like we said, right? It's like this. Shema Yisrael v'ahavta v'chulu, like that. Not going backwards. Going the proper way down. Not going upside down. Okay. However, he does make a very important point over here, and he says, Beram, however, hamagdim parasha leparasha. What happens if you preceded one parsha before another parsha? Keep going. For example, shigdim parsha tzitzit leparsha v'hayim shemoah. You preceded with the parsha tzitzit before the parsha v'hayim shemoah. Yatsa yedei chovoto. You fulfilled your obligation. We know, how do we say Shema? Shema Yisrael ve'ahavta ve'hayim shemoah v'yomer. What happens? The guy, he said, you know what? I'm going to be different today. Why? How long can I continue like this? He said, Vayomer. Then he said, Shema and V'ahavta. Then he said, Vayam Shemoah. But he's saying them in their proper order. The halacha says, you fulfilled your obligation. When do we say backwards you don't fulfill your obligation? That's when you're taking in the paragraph itself and you're reading from down up. From down up. But if I'm rearranging the parshiyot and I'm reading from up down, that is perfectly fine. B'di'evid, of course, Rabotai. Not lechatchila. Continues the Kahati and he says, why do we tell you fulfill your obligation? Lefi sheseder parshiyot b'Kriyat Shema einao kisidran batorah. Because we know that the parshiyot, the order of the parshiyot of the Kriyat Shema in the Torah, they're not in order. They're all thrown around. Rambam Hilchot Kriyat Shema Perek Bet Halacha Yud Aleph. So now comes the Kahati and says, I don't understand. Didn't we just have it? Just yesterday we saw how important it is to go ahead and to recite them in order. We said, why do we have Shema first, and then why do we have V'haya first, and then why do we have Vayomer after? We said why you need that order. How can you tell me I fulfilled my obligation? So he answers that and he says, and this that it was taught in the previous Mishnah, she has said that there is an order for the paragraphs of the Kriyat Shema. That's specifically the initial way, the best way we want you to do the mitzvah. But post facto, if it already happened, the order does not hold you back from fulfilling your obligation, and you are yotze. Continues the Mishnah. Kara veta'a. What happens if a person recited the Kriyat Shema and he made a mistake? Kegon, for example, she dileg al teva achat or al pasuk echad. You skipped one word in the Kriyat Shema, or you skipped one verse in the Kriyat Shema. From where do you continue? Yachzor lemakom sheta'a. You should go back to the place where you made a mistake. Meaning, lerosh pasuk sheta'a bo, to the beginning of the verse where you made that mistake. V'koreh misham ve'elach alased, and read from there and on in order. Meaning, a person is reading, he got to now he said Al and he doesn't remember. Did I say Hayom? I remember. Comes the Kahati, and this is going to be Halakha Rabota. You go back to the beginning of the verse right over here. You start with Hayom Al Levavecha. You go back to the beginning of the verse if you made a mistake. Or what happens if you skip the whole verse? No problem. So you go back to the beginning of the verse, no problem. Okay. He brings the Gemara Muvah. The Gemara brings down another case. Okay. Rabotai. The Gemara wants to, now we finish with the Mishnah. Now the Kahati is going to bring different scenarios on where people can make a mistake. Okay? But this we took care of. The Mishnah is done. The Gemara Muvah is brought down in the Gemara. Ta'ab ben Perek le Perek. What happens if a person made a mistake between two Perakim, two chapters? Meaning, Sheyodei Shigamar Parsha, he knows he finished the Parsha, V'tzarich latchil Parsha Acheret, and you need to begin another Parsha. Ve'eni Yudea Ezel, but he doesn't know which one. He knows he finished one parsha. He knows he has to begin another parsha, but he doesn't remember. Is it Vayomer? I don't remember. We're going to tell him, Yachzor lePerek Rishon, go back to the first chapter, meaning lehefsik Rishon, to the first chapter that it interrupted you, because if you finish your chapter, it had to be specifically after you finish Ve'ahavta at the very least. So where are you going to begin? He says you're going to begin from V'yadchil V'yayim Shemoah. This is the understanding of Rashi. Rashi says begin from V'yayim Shemoah. If you don't recall which paragraph you stopped in the first or the second, you're not losing anything by going back to the end of the first paragraph and beginning with the second paragraph. Rambam Kotav, however, the Rambam has a dissenting view, and he writes, Chozer leparasha rishona, shehi ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. You should go back to the first chapter, which is ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. So Rashi and Rambam, they argue on how to go ahead and learn to where you go back. Ta'a be'emtza Perek. What happens if a person made a mistake in the middle of the chapter? Kigon, for example, sheyodeya be'eze parsha ta'a. He knows where he made a mistake. Aval eni yodeya be'eze makom bata'a. But he doesn't know which place he made a mistake in. For example, let's do this one more time. Kigon sheyodeya be'eze parsha ta'a. He knows in which parsha he made a mistake, but he doesn't remember the place where he made a mistake. Chozer letchilat aperek. Go back to the beginning of the chapter. Letchilat aparsha sheta'aba, meaning to the beginning of the chapter where you made the mistake. That means if a person was saying V'hayim Shemoah, now you made a mistake, you don't remember where you're holding B'chlal. We're going to tell you to go back to the beginning of the parsha. Now, okay. Continues the Kahati. Ta'ab ben ketiv leketiv. What happens if you made a mistake between the verses, between the writings? Sheyodei shetzarich lomar uchtavtam. You know you have to say uchtavtam, because remember, we have two uchtavtams. One in V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha towards the end. Uchtavtam al mitzvot betechu v'sharecha. And then you also have another one in the second one where we say uchtavtam al mitzvot betechu v'sharecha. You made a mistake there. You don't remember which one is going on which. What happens if you made a mistake between the verses? You know you have to say uchtavtam. But but you don't know, are you in the first paragraph or are you in the second paragraph? Go back all the way to the first parsha and begin from uchtavtam from here. Since you don't remember, right, you know that you're holding somewhere by uchtavtam, but you're like, 1 second, uchtavtam, am I in the V'hayim Shemoah paragraph, or am I in the Shema paragraph? He tells you, go back to uchtavtam al mitzvot betecha, and then continue reading on normally. Continues the Kahat and he says, Baram, however, he says, Im hitorer etzlo safek ze la'acher shekvar amar lema'an yirbu yimechem. But what happens if this doubt came to you after you already said the words lema'an yirbu yimechem? Eino chozer, don't go back. Sha'al hergel l'shonohu holech, because you're going to what you are accustomed to saying. That means you have to be in the second paragraph. So that means when a person right now, right, if he made a mistake, he said, Uchtavtam al mezuzah b'dechu v'sharecha, but he doesn't know where he's standing. Good, go back to the beginning of the second paragraph. Because you're not losing anything. You say, Uchtavtam al mezuzah b'dechu v'sharecha, continue. But what happens, Rabotai? He said, Uchtavtam al mezuzah b'dechu v'sharecha l'ba'an, and then he's like, wait, am I in the first or am I in the second? Since we go after what you are accustomed to saying, we have to say that you were in the second paragraph, so just continue. Rabotai, let's do the Mishnah on top, and we'll conclude with this Be'ezrat Hashem. Mishnah, Perek Bet, Mishnah Gimel. HaKoreh Shema v'lo hishmi le'ozno. If somebody recited the Kriya Shema and he did not make it audible to his ears, Yatza. Rabbi Yosef Omer, Lo Yatza. The Tanna Kama says you fulfilled your obligation. Rabbi Yosef says you did not fulfill your obligation. Kara v'lo digdeg be'otiyotecha. What happens if you recited the Shema but you were not particular with the letters? Rabbi Yosef Omer, Yatza. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Lo Yatza. Rabbi Yossi says you fulfill your obligation. Rabbi Yehuda says you don't fulfill your obligation. HaKoreh lemafreya lo yatza. If you recited the Shema backwards, you don't fulfill your obligation. Kara v'ta'a. If you read and you made a mistake, yachzor lemakom sheta'a. Go back to the place where you made the mistake. Rabotai, remember all the kahatzi what we did. Plug it into the Mishnah, and there goes the Mishnah for you. Rabotai, look at the difference when you do it inside thoroughly. How easy the Mishnah becomes. Have a great day. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen ve'amen.